computer. All right. Hi, Elan. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So if you just want to introduce yourself briefly, tell us where you're from, where you go to school, that would be great.
Okay, so my name's Elan Silberlicht. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I currently attend the University of Texas at Austin.
Great. What year are you there? What are you studying?
So I just finished my freshman year, and I'm currently switching to government.
Great. So if you could just talk a little bit about sort of the role that Jewish life played when you were looking at colleges. Was it a factor at all? Was it, a small factor, a big factor? Just, what was your college search like?
When I was searching for colleges, Judaism did play a big part because Judaism was a big part of my childhood and like high school experience. So I was like, I need to make sure to have like a good experience with Judaism. Like my dad went to Oklahoma State and he's like, you can apply there if you want, but you won't get good Jewish life there. So I was like, that's fair. So I just decided to look. First thing, like when looking, I got the Hillel magazine and I like looked at the top Jewish schools, and I just mostly applied to schools where most Jews applied. Like
Okay.
I did the Jewish basics for any Jewish person, like Tulane, Indiana, Florida.
Yeah.
I didn't do Michigan. That's the one Jewish school that every Jew applies to that I didn't do. And
That's
Texas. Yeah.
true. Yeah,
It
those
was
are
very
all
important for me to have at least a Hillel or a Chabad, but luckily I have both now.
okay, great. Yeah, tell me a little bit about sort of how you've gotten involved your freshman year with Jewish life at UT.
So for Hillel, the rabbi was actually in my BYO chapter, and he's like friends with the advisor there. So like I knew him from before. So that was like a quick connection that I made when joining Hillel at UT. But I joined the class this past semester, and I learned a lot about like it's called Life's Biggest Questions. I learned a lot from like the other people in the class and like the rabbi and like his thoughts on like different lessons, like is it better to work with others or by yourself, like on a project? Like we talked about stuff like that. And
Okay.
Chabad, I took a class about Israel, and it was talking about like how to defend, like he was just giving us points about like Israel to defend yourself on campus against like anti-Israel rhetoric, and that was
Okay.
cool. But I was very lucky because where I was staying, it was Hillel and Chabad were both around the corner from where I was, so I could easily go to them. They were like a 2-minute walk.
That's great because UT's campus is large.
Yes.
So that is lucky. Is there anything, fun or unique or different that you think, people should know about Jewish life at UT or in
uh,
Austin in general?
Boston's a great city. It has a lot of Jews, but at UT, make sure to go to Hillel or Chabad for Friday night dinners. Are always good. But just get involved with Judaism. Like for Hillel, they have like the biggest Israel block party in, I think, maybe the US. That's what they claim. I'm not sure. I might need to research that, but they claim they have the biggest Israel block party. I went to it. It was amazing. Like so many booths, so much food. Like I had a great time. I volunteered there, had a blast, and they gave out cool shirts. And I just love seeing like all these people come in, not even like some football players came in and just had like ice cream. I felt good about that because like they just came in to look at it. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. And
That's great.
also at UT, there are there's 3 Jewish frats and 2 sororities. Phi is the bigger one, but SCT is still there. But make sure to join one if you're interested in Greek life. Jewish frats are fun.
Okay. Are you in a fraternity?
Yes, I'm in Texas Sammy.
Ah, very nice. So you mentioned, the Chabad class teaching you to respond to anti-Israel rhetoric. Do you see a lot of that on campus? Any, whether it's anti-Israel or more traditional anti-Semitism? Have you had any experience with that?
Luckily, no, but like for anti-Semitism, there's probably is, but luckily I haven't ran into any anti-Semitism. But for anti-Israel, UT is is more on the progressive side. So like, which is fine. Like I'm more liberal, but they are there's a lot of people who are anti-Israel on UT. Like when it was Israel Block Party week, the university gave permission to the Palestinian groups to put up like giant like pillars of like information. It was outdated information, but they gave them permission, and that's like there is a lot of anti-Israel. Like I don't know if I'd go around wearing an Israel shirt. I'm sure I'd get hate. I don't think I would like get beat up, but I'm sure they'd be like F Israel or something. But yeah, anti-Israel is a problem on campus. Like for Israel Block Party, they allowed students to set up where the Israel Block Party tent was. It was on like there's a main street called Speedway. So we were on one side, on the other side is the school business McCombs. And they allowed the Palestinians to set up there. And during like in between classes, they were allowed to chant. And it was very chaotic, but it was kind of interesting. I've never seen something like that.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of families are concerned about that as they're looking at schools because, a lot of students have been sheltered from that in high school, for better or worse. So,
But the Israel parade was much bigger. There was probably like 20 Palestinian people or like supporters during Israel Block Parade, while we had a giant tent with like at least 100 people at all times in it.
That's great. It's great that there's that positive energy. Okay. What advice would you give to a high school student, a Jewish high school student who's going through the college admissions process now, looking back on your experience?
What advice? I'd probably say make sure to like try to look at schools where there's going to be Jews. Like I'd recommend always go to school with Jews so you can meet other Jews, even if you don't know any of them going in. Like luckily I knew a good amount, but like I know some of my friends met other Jews at like smaller schools and they're like in front of Jewish friend groups and go to like Hillel or Chabad. But I'd recommend like look into the Jewish life there, look into Chabad or Hillel if they have one or the other or both. And you could also, if you're interested in Greek life, look into if they have Jewish frats or sororities. And if you keep kosher, not many campuses have, but I'm sure I know Tulane in Maryland offer kosher meals. I think the Hillel at Tulane and same at Maryland or something like that. But those are like things to look at if you're interested in Jewish life on campus. But I think it's very important just because we have to stay strong to our identity.
Yeah, no, I think it sounds like you're having a really great experience. Do you keep kosher on campus?
Kind of. I keep kosher
Okay,
style.
Whatever the answer is fine with me. I was just curious to hear what that experience is like.
I kept kosher at home, and then my parents were like, if you want to explore. So now I'm in the exploring phase.
Great. Enjoy it. But it is tough because that does limit your options a lot. But I am always curious to hear about, what and how would you characterize the community at UT Austin? Is there a large observant community, or is it mostly conservative reform, or is it just a mix?
It is a bigger community. I'm sure like I think I saw in the Hillel pamphlet, it was like 5,000 Jews. I'm sure like 3,000 of them aren't observant, and I'll probably never see them at like Hillel or Chabad. But most of them are like, I think for Friday night, most people just like going to Chabad because they want to get alcohol. But like most people like
free food and alcohol is always good.
Most people will go to like, I personally like to go to Hillel for services because I'm conservative. So like that matches my prayer type for like high holidays. But like it just depends. Like people like going to Hillel for the food's honestly better, but it's like not a fair competition just because they like cater their food from like I think the JCC or like some chef, but Chabad's like homemade. So like it's different types of food, but it's like there is like a division. Like there are more people who are religious. Like I think it's more like grad students I see that are like always at Chabad, like praying and not like undergrads, but there is a division.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I think this will be helpful for Jewish students who are looking at colleges, and specifically UT Austin. And I'm glad you're having such a great experience.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure.